So I was on a few sites, and specifically the one I read more in depth was Clipperholic site, and I go there a lot and get a lot of reading done, and see what's out there and see what is put in the forefront in regards to the Clippers, because of course I want to know. And then on top of that, and doing that, I read about some untouchable players for the Clippers. And I read about, some players that are touchable that basically could be in regards to in like trades. So to me, in regards to what I read, I just want to talk on the untouchable players in regards to any trades being made upon their name this offseason. Now, one player, of course, that was up there was Kawhi Leonard. And me personally, if you ask me, Kawhi Leonard is untouchable with this team. I don't think they should ever trade Kawhi Leonard. You wouldn't even be a contender. You wouldn't really have a substantial name in regards to relevancy or anything like that if Kawhi doesn't join this team. You wouldn't have Paul George if Kawhi didn't join this team and request for Paul George. You wouldn't have the opportunity to be looked at as a contender or a championship caliber type team without Kawhi Leonard's name attached to this roster and to this organization. So a lot of people out there, I understand, the frustration of Kawhi not being healthy, along with Paul George and things like that. But you got to understand, what would this team be without Kawhi Leonard? What name, or what type of contending status would they have? Would they just be the same old Clippers we all knew growing up? Had a lot of talent, got all the draft picks in the world, and drafted a lot of talent on the team, but no prosperity. Nothing never came of it in regards to championships or anything remotely close. And see, that's what you got to think about when you think about letting go of Kawhi Leonard, or when you say the Clippers should let go of Kawhi Leonard and do away with him because he gets injured. Well, you could say that about every other star player that the Clippers ever had got injured. Is that a part of a curse, or is that just part of the game? And a lot of people go back and forth with that. I told you many times I don't believe in curses or anything like that, but something keeps happening over and over and over again throughout the years of history with star players or players that's on this team. It does make you scratch your head and make you wonder. So my point is, we could blame Kawhi all we want, because he does deserve some blame because he's a superstar. Superstars deserve blame when things don't go well. I get that. And I definitely understand, your position if you believe that, if you feel that way. But only thing I'm saying is, without Kawhi Leonard, you don't even have an opportunity. You don't even have a chance. You're not even in the conversation. You won't even get talked about on TV. You won't even get talked about on YouTube. You won't even be in the running for a championship or even looked at that way without somebody of his presence on that roster. So to me, he's untouchable, because when Kawhi is healthy, he's a monster. Let's just be real. When he's healthy, he's top 2, top 3 player in the league. As I said, I stand on saying that he's the best player in the league when healthy. But I know that it doesn't seem like he's healthy that much, but he's been this way pretty much since he's been in the league. Load management, he learned that from Greg Popovich because of his injuries. And, teams, they utilized him, the way they needed to get a championship out of him and help grow him as a player, help grow his offense as a player. And then he he implemented that same type of diet, basically, with the Toronto Raptors, and they used him the right way, exactly how he told them to. And a championship came out of it. So maybe the Clippers just need to use him exactly how he tells them to, or the right way of how he sees fit, because he's won multiple championships. So he knows what it takes to win it. And he knows what type of rest and type of things like that his body needs, and treatment his body needs, in order for him to be the best player he could be in the playoffs, in which that's what he's judged by, the playoffs, because Kawhi really doesn't care about the regular season, because if he wanted to, he could have been an MVP of the regular season years ago, I thought. But that's another story for another day. Now, the other person they talk about is Ivica Zubac. Now, me personally, I've been on record saying Zubac is good. Zubac has a lot of upside, and, his talent is, through the roof, if he, allows himself to develop that way, and if he gets the development that he needs. But my only thing is, he's been in the league long enough to get all the development he needs. He's been on the Lakers and the Clippers. He's been in L.A. He's been all through L.A., basically. You know what I'm saying? He's been around for a while. So really, there's no excuses for Zubac. I need to see more out of this guy. If they're going to sit there and keep Zubac and make him the forefront, 5-position guy, which is the starting big man, his development, his skill is good, but at the same time, he needs to be a little bit more assertive, a little bit more aggressive at times, especially when he sees times where where, Kawhi and PG might be struggling on the floor, or if one of them's out. I just think he needs to be more aggressive, consistently. And it doesn't necessarily mean he needs to be more aggressive offensively. He could be more aggressive defensively, grab more rebounds, grab more loose balls, fight for more rebounds, show a little bit more grit in his game. And I understand he's more of a finesse type player with a good touch around the rim, shoot free throws pretty good. Decent footwork for a big man. I understand that he's got skill, out this world. I always said he did. But at the same time, that aggressive meter needs to turn up if they're going to keep him long term, and if he's going to be an untouchable player that they don't have, that they shouldn't trade. Because to me, I've seen a lot of games through these last several years the last few years with the Clippers where I shake my head, and then I've seen games where I was like, yeah, that's the way he's supposed to play. It's basically hit or miss with him at times with that, which is the reason why I think, he receives a lot of criticism, on Twitter and a lot of social media sites I go to when they talk about, certain players on the Clippers. And his name and Marcus Morris comes up the most, if you ask me, from what I've seen, the last couple years. But either way, if you want to say he's untouchable in regards to he's probably the only big man or decent big man that's really out there in regards to free agency or what's out there, well, I guess he might be untouchable if there's no other options to pick from or choose from. So if you're looking at it from that perspective, then yeah, I would say he is. But based upon his performance over the last couple years, or since, the last few years since he's been with the Clippers, I definitely think he's replaceable if they found somebody a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more assertive defensively, and a little bit more with an edge to him. You see, Zubac is good, but that finesse type game that he has, he needs to be a little bit more gritty, especially when it comes to the playoffs when you're trying to win championships. So, like I said, if they found somebody with a little bit more grit and edge, I would definitely trade him. But, if they're looking at it in regards to there's nobody else out there really for us to go after in the big man category besides backup big men, like which they got Mason Plumlee, then, yeah, you keep him and maybe he would be untouchable if you look at it, from that perspective. And lastly, which I should have mentioned first, is Terrence Mann. Terrence Mann, to me, definitely an untouchable player. I definitely don't want them to trade Terrence Mann. I definitely see a lot of upside in this guy. I'm pretty sure everybody else does as well. Terrence Mann has just really been, a constant professional with this team. He hasn't always gotten his way in regards to, getting the minutes and stuff like that he wants and that I feel like he deserves. But at the same time, he still plays good. He still comes in there with energy, and he's still one of those young rising stars that they have that they can actually use for their future. And I definitely think they need to hold on to him because the way he can, play both sides of the floor, if he picks up a little bit more on his offense in regards to shooting, threes a little bit better, and which I know he will. And I think he's picked up on his offense a little bit better, over the last couple seasons, if you ask me. But I definitely think he can, go up a little bit higher too, because I definitely think it's no ceiling for, Terrence Mann, if you ask me. But pick up a little bit more on offense. He would be basically a really good player for the Clippers because, like I said, his energy that he comes in with, he brings a presence on the floor every time he comes. His energy is high energy, and he basically is a spark plug coming off the bench. And I thought he was playing good with Kawhi and PG before Russell Westbrook came on this team and he took over the starting point guard position. It resulted in Terrence Mann going back to the bench. I just think they need to find a role for Terrence Mann to be a lot more consistent. Is he going to be a consistent bench player going forward, or are you going to find a way to put him in the starting lineup going forward? If you are, I don't care if they got rid of Russ, if they were going to put Terrence Mann in the starting lineup, because I like Terrence Mann with Kawhi and PG. I really feel like he fits more with them than Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook would be better coming off the bench, honestly, with the Clippers rather than Terrence Mann coming off the bench, because to me, if you got somebody like Russell Westbrook who can control the second unit and make mistakes a little bit, and then the starters can come back in and kind of make up for some of the mistakes that maybe Russ was, doing, and then they can kind of smooth it out that way. But Russ being in the starting lineup, if he makes a lot of mistakes with the starters, it puts them in a deficit a lot of times in regards to turnovers, being down in the game, and they really don't catch a substantial rhythm the way they could if they had Terrence Mann in the starting lineup. Because I really feel like Terrence Mann knows his role. He understands it so well. He's not going to step out of his boundary. He knows Kawhi and PG eat first before anybody else on the floor. He knows that. And with that being in his head, he just takes shots when it's his opportunity to be wide open, or if he has a wide open lane, he goes for it, or take a high percentage shot feeding off of Kawhi and PG's energy. And that's the type of point guard the Clippers really need. Now, Terrence Mann isn't the ideal point guard, like the traditional point guard you might be used to, but with him understanding that and not turning the ball over or being prone to turn the ball over as much as Westbrook, I still think he should have been in the starting lineup. I thought Ty Lue made a mistake by taking him out of the starting lineup. I feel like it took a little bit of energy away from the Clippers, and even though nothing never really got said or made of it, I just truly believe that for myself. So if you ask me, yes, I would say Terrence Mann is another one that's unguardable, and you might have differences of opinion of who's unguardable, I should say untradeable. I didn't mean to say unguardable. If you have differences of opinion who's untradeable or tradable on the team, leave any comments in the comment section, and as always, we'll talk about it.